Picture soil so alive, it could feed families for generations. No chemicals, no pricey fertilizers, just simple scraps and timeless wisdom. Today, we're revealing zero-cost secrets to enrich your garden for 1,000 years. These aren't just tips. They're living traditions that connect us to the earth and to those who came before us. Quick question: what's the strangest or most unexpected thing you've ever mixed into your soil? Share it below. Your answer might inspire someone else's garden. At 82, Bartholomew had no money for fancy products or store-bought fertilizers. His neighbors thought his garden would wither. But year after year, his backyard became the greenest in town. Tomatoes heavy on the vine, carrots sweet as sugar, and soil that smelled like life itself. Mr. Figg didn't rely on chemicals or expensive bags of compost. He relied on resourcefulness, wisdom, and patience. He knew that what most people threw away could become treasure for the soil. Eggshells, coffee grounds, autumn leaves, even weeds, in his hands. They became food for the earth. His secret wasn't just what he added, but the love and rhythm with which he worked, turning little acts of care into abundance. Bartholomew reminds us that gardening is more than growing food. It's about resilience, about seeing value where others see waste, and about passing on lessons that will outlive us. His story proves that no matter your age, budget, or garden size, you can create soil that thrives for generations. Subscribe to the Evergreen Seniors, where wisdom, soil, and stories all grow together. And tell us in the comments, what's one gardening trick you learned from an elder in your life? Soil secret number 1, organic matter builds. Bartholomew Figg had a rule: nothing from the kitchen was wasted. Banana peels, coffee grounds, apple cores, even tea bags. All of it was carried outside, not to the trash, but to the soil. He called it feeding his little helpers. Those helpers weren't people. They were the unseen workers. Beneath the surface, earthworms, beetles, and millions of microbes. Each scrap became their feast. And in return, they transformed it into rich, dark humus, what gardeners call black gold. That black gold is the foundation of living soil. It holds moisture during drought, keeps nutrients available for roots, and slowly releases energy back to the plants. No chemical fertilizer can match it because it's alive. Think of it this way: our bodies thrive when we eat whole, natural foods, fresh fruits, vegetables, grains. Soil is no different. When you feed it with organic matter instead of synthetic chemicals, you're giving it a living diet. Just like Mr. Figg, you don't need money for this. The very scraps you might toss in the trash are the ingredients for building soil that lasts not just one season, but for generations. Even a single banana peel has potassium that strengthens plants, while coffee grounds add nitrogen to fuel growth. It's a cycle, nothing wasted, everything renewed. Bartholomew would smile and say, "I may not leave my grandchildren gold coins, but I'll leave them golden soil." That's the power of organic matter. It's not just about gardening, it's about legacy. Every peel, every shell, every scrap carries a story of renewal. And when you add it to your soil, you're joining hands with nature's timeless rhythm. You don't need a fancy compost bin to begin. Start with a small pile in the corner of your yard or even a bucket on your balcony. Mix kitchen scraps with dry leaves or shredded paper and let nature take over. If you don't want a pile, simply dig a hole in your garden and bury your scraps. The soil will know what to do. Now we want to hear from you. Do you compost at home? Or do you have your own special way of feeding the soil? Share it in the comments. Your tip might inspire another gardener to start their own journey toward black gold. Soil secret number 2, natural containers and drainage. For Bartholomew Figg, nothing was ever trash. A cracked mug wasn't thrown away, it was placed at the bottom of a flower pot to keep the roots from drowning. An old orange peel wasn't just compost, it became a tiny seed starter. Its oils even helping to deter pests in the early days of growth. Even a broken wooden chair, destined for the dump, found new life as a tomato stand, holding vines steady as they reached toward the sun. Every object had a second chapter, and every chapter led back to the soil. Think about it. How many things do we throw away without realizing they could serve the garden? An old shoe can become a quirky herb planter. Egg cartons cradle seedlings before they're ready for the ground. Buckets with holes become instant raised beds. Even glass jars can sprout beans on a windowsill. Mr. Figg knew that gardening wasn't just about plants, it was about creativity, frugality, and seeing possibility where others saw waste. That's what made his backyard so alive. Every corner told a story of resourcefulness. If you want healthier plants, start by thinking about drainage. Roots need air as much as water. Lining the bottom of pots with broken pottery, rocks, or even pine cones creates natural airflow and prevents soggy soil. For seed starting, look around your kitchen before you buy plastic trays, orange or lemon halves. Eggshells or even small cardboard cups work beautifully. These natural containers don't just save money. They eventually break down, feeding the soil as they go. And don't underestimate repurposed items. That old bucket with a crack? Drill a few holes, add soil, and you've got a perfect planter. Bartholomew often said, if it can hold soil, it can hold life. There's something almost spiritual about that. Taking what's broken, overlooked, or forgotten, and turning it into a vessel for growth. Gardening teaches us that nothing is truly wasted, even in our own lives. The cracks and scars we carry can become spaces where new roots take hold. The garden reflects us, imperfect, resourceful, and resilient. Now it's your turn. What's the most unusual planter you've ever used? Was it an old boot, a chipped teapot, or maybe something even stranger? Share it in the comments. We might just try it ourselves. Soil secret number 3, long-lasting fertility tricks. Bartholomew Figg had a simple philosophy. Don't feed the plants, feed the soil. Instead of buying shiny bags of fertilizer, he turned to the simplest of ingredients. Things most people overlooked. A scoop of ashes from his fireplace, a handful of crushed eggshells, bones from the Sunday roast, dried and ground into powder. These weren't quick fixes, they were slow gifts to the soil, lasting not just a season, but years. Where chemical fertilizers gave plants a sugar rush, Bartholomew's tricks gave them a balanced diet that kept on nourishing long after the first harvest. Fireplace ashes, for instance, are rich in potassium and calcium, perfect for strengthening stems and roots. Crushed eggshells release calcium slowly, preventing blossom end rot in tomatoes and peppers. Even ground-up bones, rich in phosphorus, encourage strong root development and more blossoms. These were things his neighbors threw away, but Bartholomew saw them as treasures. Just as a homemade soup nourishes better than instant noodles, natural soil amendments outlast and outperform chemical shortcuts. You can do the same in your own garden. After your morning eggs, rinse and crush the shells. Sprinkle them around the base of plants or work them into the soil. If you've got a fireplace or even a charcoal stove, save those ashes. Just use them lightly, as too much can raise soil pH. And if you're cooking meat with bones, don't discard them. Bake them until brittle, crush them, and add them to your compost or garden beds. These slow-release fertilizers don't just enrich the soil, they build resilience, creating a foundation that lasts. Bartholomew used to say, "The soil remembers." And he was right. The scraps and ashes of yesterday become the abundance of tomorrow. By giving back in natural, humble ways, he wasn't just feeding his garden. He was creating a living inheritance. His soil grew richer with time, not poorer. That's the opposite of what chemicals often do. His story reminds us that the simplest gifts, given with patience, can endure for generations. Would you try ashes or eggshells in your soil? Or do you already use them? Share your thoughts below. You never know. Your idea might be the one that sparks a new tradition in another gardener's home. Soil secret number 4, restoring old tools. Bartholomew Figg didn't believe in throwing things away, not even his tools. To anyone else, his rusty shovel looked finished. Its edge dulled, its surface rough with age. But Bartholomew saw possibility. With a simple soak in vinegar to loosen the rust, a good scrub with steel wool, and a rub of linseed oil to protect the metal, that old shovel shined again. The wooden handle, too, was sanded smooth and oiled, bringing it back to life. It was as strong as the day he first bought it, ready to turn soil for another season of growth. Think about it. In today's world, most of us replace rather than restore. A broken handle? Toss it. A rusty hoe? Buy new. But Bartholomew knew that just as the soil could be renewed, so could the tools that worked it. His shed wasn't filled with the latest gadgets. It was filled with trusted companions that had been cared for over decades. And there's something deeply satisfying about holding a tool that carries both history and strength. Every scratch tells a story of past harvests, and every restored edge whispers of future abundance. You can bring life back to your own tools, too. Start by cleaning off dirt after each use. A simple brush or rinse goes a long way. For rust, soak metal parts overnight in vinegar, then scrub with a wire brush. Once clean, dry thoroughly to prevent new rust from forming. Rubbing a light coat of vegetable oil, linseed oil, or even motor oil helps seal the metal against moisture. Wooden handles can be sanded and treated with oil as well, making them smoother, sturdier, and less likely to splinter. A little care not only saves money, but makes gardening safer and more enjoyable. Bartholomew often said, "A tool is like a friend, treat it well, and it will serve you faithfully for a lifetime." There's wisdom in that. Restoring tools isn't just about saving money. It's about respect. Respect for the resources we already have, for the craft of those who made them, and for the work they've done in our hands. And maybe it's also about us. Because when we take time to restore something old and worn, we're reminded that renewal is always possible, even in ourselves. Got an old tool in your shed? What's your trick to keep it working? Share your tips below. Your wisdom might help. Another gardener breathed new life into their tools. Soil secret number 5, creative hanging gardens. Bartholomew Figg was never afraid to look a little odd if it meant growing something beautiful. While his neighbors bought plastic planters, his fence bloomed with socks. Yes, old socks, filled with compost and soil, tied to the wood like little pouches of life. Out of them sprouted herbs, basil, parsley, thyme. To visitors, it looked strange at first, socks on a fence. But when they saw the lush green spilling over the edges, they realized. Bartholomew's imagination grew more than any store-bought product ever could. His garden wasn't just alive with plants, it was alive with creativity. We often think gardening requires expensive pots or raised beds. But truthfully, plants don't care about brand names. They care about soil, water, sunlight, and love. Bartholomew's sock gardens prove that anything that holds soil and drains, well, can become a home for roots. Old rain boots, tin cans, baskets, even a broken colander. All of these can be planters if you dare to see them differently. And beyond saving money, these quirky solutions bring a personality to your garden. They tell your story. You can try this yourself without much effort. Take an old sock, fill it with compost or potting soil, and tie it to a sunny fence or railing. Plant herbs with shallow roots, basil, mint, oregano, and water gently. As the sock ages, it slowly decomposes, feeding the soil beneath. If socks aren't your style, think vertically. Hanging shoe organizers, PVC pipes, or even repurposed plastic bottles can become mini gardens that save space and add beauty. These hacks are especially powerful if you're working with a balcony, small yard, or urban garden where space is limited. Bartholomew believed imagination was as important as water or sunlight. His quirky sock planters made people smile, but more importantly, they reminded everyone that gardening isn't about perfection, it's about possibility. He often said, if you can dream it, you can grow it. And isn't that the lesson we all need? That in both gardens and in life, creativity turns limitations into abundance. Would you try growing herbs in socks, or do you have your own quirky hack? Share it in the comments. You might just inspire someone to turn their small space into a blooming patch of creativity. Mr. Bartholomew Figg's garden was never just about vegetables or flowers. It was a living classroom, a reminder that soil holds more than seeds. It holds stories, memories, and lessons passed from one generation to the next. Every sock turned into a planter, every eggshell crushed into the earth, every rusty tool restored was more than a trick. It was a philosophy, a way of seeing value where others saw only waste. A way of slowing down to notice the cycles of life, decay becoming growth, endings becoming beginnings. His backyard was proof that wealth isn't measured in money or products, but in the richness of the earth beneath your feet. And maybe that's why his story resonates with us. Because deep down, we all want to create something that lasts, something that nourishes not just today, but tomorrow. Bartholomew showed us that you don't need deep pockets to build lasting abundance. You just need creativity, patience, and the courage to see possibilities in the simplest things. His soil didn't just feed his family, it fed his spirit. and every handful of that black, living earth was a reminder that care given today becomes harvest tomorrow. You don't need to copy every single hack to begin. Start small. Save your kitchen scraps. Try a quirky container. Restore one old tool. Each act, however small, builds not just a garden, but a mindset, one that values renewal, resilience, and resourcefulness. That mindset is the real treasure Bartholomew passed on, and it's available to anyone willing to dig in. Perhaps the greatest lesson Mr. Figg left behind was this: soil can outlive us, carrying forward the care we put into it. That means every peel, every seed, every act of stewardship is not just for us. It's for the generations yet to come. In that sense, gardening becomes more than a hobby. It becomes a legacy, a gift to the future. If this story sparked an idea or warmed your heart, give it a like, share it with someone who loves to grow, and subscribe to the Evergreen Seniors, where wisdom, stories, and life itself never stop blooming.